straight off the bat, this thing is fun. Not kind of on the edge of your seat, raucous Porsche Cayman kind of fun. No, it's more refined than that. We all love the idea of a sports car, a racy two-door with a big engine and lots of performance, a second or third car perhaps that we use on high days and holidays. The thing is, for most of us, that's just not a realistic proposition. Most of us need a car that can carry people and stuff, as well as not costing a fortune on monthly PCP finance, and one that is pretty cheap to run as well. So what then if I could show you a car that did all of that and even a little bit more? This, ladies and gentlemen, is the new BMW 2 Series Coupe. The 2 Series took over from the 1 Series Coupe back in 2014. The name change was designed to separate it from the family hatchback, despite the fact it shared many of its parts and platform underneath. New for 2022 is the car you see here, but unlike the current 1 Series, which was revamped 3 or 4 years ago, the new Coupe ditches the car's basic body and opts for rear rather than front wheel drive. So in a break from the norm, let's first start with what this car is like to drive, and let me tell you straight off the bat, this thing is fun. Not kind of on the edge of your seat, raucous Porsche Cayman kind of fun. No, it's more refined than that. We love what the bigger 4 Series offers as a package. It's got a similarly dynamic drive, a good range of engines, but there's space in the back and it's got a big boot as well. And it feels like the 2 Series offers everything that its bigger brother does, but in a more compact and crucially cheaper package. There are ostensibly 3 engines to choose from, 2 petrols and a diesel. The entry-level model is the 220i, but you can have the same engine in the 230i, just with a little bit more power and performance. Then there's the M240i, a worthy 3-litre 6-cylinder turbocharged range topper with 369 brake horsepower, capable of 0 to 62 in a little over 4 seconds. And then there's this, the 220d diesel, but don't write it off just yet. This car is quicker than the 220i petrol and a whole load more economical. It's got 187 brake horsepower and 400 newton meters of torque. That's 100 newton meters more than the petrol. It'll do 0 to 62 in less than 7 seconds. So it feels quick. It definitely doesn't have the soundtrack of the M240i, but if you want something a bit different to the usual 3 Series or, I don't know, the Mercedes A-Class diesel that a lot of people looking at this kind of car will consider, then it's definitely worth a look. I mentioned the 4 Series and its sporty handling just now, and there's a good reason for that, because this car is based on a shortened version of the 4's platform. It feels agile, it feels responsive, the steering has a nice weight to it, and the driving position is bang on. There's loads of adjustment in it, which means it should fit anybody who needs it. There's something to be said for the extra torque of this diesel version as well. The 8-speed automatic gearbox does a pretty good job of being in the right gear at the right time, but a quick shift of this left-hand paddle knocks you down a cog, and you prod the throttle and you've instantly overtaken whatever it was that was holding you up. The way it kind of picks up in the mid-range is even more impressive than the way it takes off from a standstill. Doesn't even ride too badly either. Granted, this one is on the smallest 18-inch wheels, but they're hardly small. A few years ago, 18 inches would have been considered massive. So that, mated to this diesel engine and strong refinement, means that this is a car that you can get in, drive for 300 miles and get out the other side feeling as fresh as the moment you sat behind the wheel. That's only helped by the 2's single spec and strong kit list. Unless you opt for the standalone M240i, this M Sport trim is your only option. It gets everything from LED lights to part Alcantara seats, plus cruise control, climate control, and all-round parking sensors. Of course, this being a BMW, there are lots of packs and options to add. Our car has Portimao blue paint, for example, plus a technology pack and a comfort pack. If you want to know more, you can find out everything you need to know at carbuyer.co.uk. Quality, as we've come to expect from modern BMWs, is fantastic. It's built exactly as you'd expect it to be, everything to a really high standard. The one thing I would say is, though, this setup up here, the infotainment setup, doesn't feel as cutting edge as the latest electric BMWs, the i4 and the iX, for example. And there's a reason for that. This is one of the very earliest new 2 Series Coupes, which means it gets the older iDrive setup up here. If you order one now, you'll get the newer iDrive 8, and well, we've got mixed feelings about that. It looks slick, the single panel, the 2 screens which merge into one, that looks great, and the tech that's within it is great as well, but it's just not as easy to use. Good thing though is that you will still get this click wheel down here on the center console. Some models, like the new 2 Series Active Tourer, do without that, and everything is buried within the screen. One thing that will be buried within the screen though is the climate controls. You get buttons on this one, but in the newer iDrive 8, it's all within the screen, and it's just not as easy to use. Now, I did toy with the idea of presenting a nice piece to camera from the back seats, but let's be honest, nobody wants to see how undignified I look clambering into the back. This is where the 2 Series really separates itself from the 4 Series. If you want to carry people in the back, then the bigger car is undoubtedly better. Even putting children in here requires the body of a contortionist. Best see this as a bit of extra storage space then, for when you can't get everything you need in the boot. But that might actually be less often than you imagine. The boot is a good size. It's 390 litres, so plenty of space for the trusty Carbuyer suitcase. There aren't many coupes on the market that offer this kind of versatility. An Audi TT, for example, is almost 100 litres smaller. In that car, you get a glass rear screen, so you have to be really careful when you're putting big and bulky items in the back, because you risk smashing the screen when you close it. But the BMW 2 Series, really decent space, and you can fold the seats down, should you really need to, using these levers in the boot. We did touch on the benefits of running this diesel if you cover big miles, and while the official figure of 60.1 mpg sounds good, we've seen even better than that on a long, steady run. CO2 emissions of 122 grams per kilometre are low, but there's no avoiding the fact that without a plug-in or electric variant, the 2 Series will offer very little appeal to those looking to lower their company car tax bill. The 220i will, according to BMW, do 44.1 mpg, while the M240i should return around 10 mpg less. Thirstier for sure, but not half bad considering the performance on offer. Right, should we summarise with some deal makers and deal breakers? The 2 Series feels like a proper mini BMW, fun to drive in any situation. It won't fail to put a smile on your face. The 220i and 220d should prove pretty cheap to run too, though without any electric options, the 2 Series is likely to be of greater interest to private buyers than company car drivers. It isn't very big inside, but the boot will swallow a big suitcase with ease, and you can always use the back seats as extra storage. If you do need to carry passengers though, we'd recommend taking a look at the 3 or 4 Series. Your friends will thank you for not shoehorning them through those front doors. The 220d is economical and the M240i is a rocket ship, but the 2 Series doesn't get the same breadth of engine options as other cars in the BMW range. All in though, the 2 Series feels like a really capable all-rounder. It feels more special than a 3 Series, and if you need those occasional rear seats or the big boot but don't want to sacrifice driver appeal, then it definitely trumps the style-focused Audi TT or even the driver comes first Porsche Cayman. If you like this video, then why not watch our review of the Audi TT or our sports cars playlist. Thanks for watching.